Hello everybody and welcome to the stream. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. And yeah, we will start here in just a couple minutes. I just got myself some tea to warm up. And yeah, maybe shout out where you're watching from. I should actually pull open the chat though. Make sure that I can see you guys. Alright, welcome. Welcome Zidor, Shavda, Usagi, nice little bunny. Senpai is equally respected as sensei. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. I got my, what do we got today? Some toasted coconut almond bark. I'm all about the tea. Whew, that is hot. All right, let me find my pen here. Get nice and prepared before I start sculpting, of course. All right. So in terms of what I'm going to be sculpting, I have some basic ideas down. I got some references over on my other monitor, some of them of the nude variety, so I will not be pulling those up simply because of YouTube, not being a huge fan of that, even though it's artistic. Like, YouTube's kind of weird about that stuff. Anyway, I want to create, or at least start creating, the initial stages of a larger character, something masculine. I've had this idea in my head for a little while. Kind of play around with some different themes. Yeah, been watching the, what's it called? Arcane, the League of Legends show on Netflix. And I've been kind of playing, like it's been inspiring me a lot with these different ideas. So I've been looking at a lot of League of Legends art. Really love their art style. I actually think it's pretty similar to mine. And yeah, I'm really excited to just get in and actually start working on a longer project. We just got done with Sculptober, so it's been a while since we've been able to work on something a little bit longer. I gotta pull this chat somewhere where I can actually see it. Let me see here. I'll do something like this. Vec, Denise, Sakura Rain, Sergio, Arcane equals hype. Yeah. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody new that's just popping in. All right. Let's get to work. You know what? I'm looking at chat and I'm like looking at my references over here and I'm like, I need another monitor. Need more space. All right, cool. Let's get started. So yeah, it's gonna be a pretty chill stream. If you've ever been to one of my streams before, I'm just gonna hang out for 2 or 3 hours, do some sculpting, and probably answer some questions along the way. All right. So I'm going to keep this pretty loose in terms of the basic idea because I'm not entirely sure what I want. But I know I want a bigger, masculine character. In terms of shape language, I'm not sure yet. I want to find that along the way. But I'm thinking some kind of fat character, something stout, maybe something with a small head, kind of leading in that direction. And I don't know what the character's name is. But I found some really cool Minotaur art as well from League of Legends that I thought was pretty sweet. So I might try to like lean in that direction a little, but everything's kind of on the table in the early stages, or up for grabs, so to speak. So it's just kind of, you know, finding it along the way. That's kind of what's fun about those early stages of shape design. But what I mean by loose in these early stages is that I don't want to spend a long time, you know, fiddling with any one thing. So, you know, I'll fiddle with the neck or the head and the muzzle shape there like a couple minutes, but then I got to move on. Because you can't really figure out one area until you have everything else to compare it against. That's what I always say early on, at least for the proportional stages. You can't work on proportions and all that until you know, get some more stuff down. For the chest, though, or the belly, I do kind of have an idea of what I want to do down here. Let's just start with a big old sphere. And let's see. A little trick here to give you some nice big old pecs. Just take a sphere, mirror it over to the other side, and voila. Viola. We have some big old pecs to play around with. And I've done characters with this kind of general shape language before, so I kind of have an idea of what I need and or want to do here, but not really in terms of specifics. What's up? What's the question? No need to preface Vec. We're all friends here. Old T, welcome. Ah, man, this tea is like making me 10 degrees warmer every sip. Sculpting your first 3 composition characters. I would do each character separately in their own Z tool. And then you can combine them all later on if they're going to be in the same scene. But yeah, just in terms of file management, it just makes sense to kind of keep them all separate. And then maybe compare for, you know, a quick lineup if you need to. But other than that, I would say that's the way I would go. Yeah, it doesn't really make too much sense to kind of keep them all in one. It just gets messy quick, too hard to organize. You'll notice, so I'm a very organized person, but when I sculpt, like, I'm not sitting here taking the time to name any of these, because I'm going to be combining stuff. I'm going to be destroying geometry left and right, so I don't really know exactly how it's going to shape up. And because of that, there's no reason for me to like sit here and try to organize things early on. It's just kind of a waste of time. So, yeah. Just kind of go rough, go quick, try to make some magic. Really want to make 3D characters but have no clue where to start. Well, that is a fantastic, or you are in a fantastic place to be, because I have a playlist here on my YouTube channel called, I think it's called Where Do I Start? Literally. And I recommend starting there. That is a great place to start if you're interested in, you know, getting into ZBrush. I have an absolute beginner's guide course over on my Gumroad. Let's toggle those off for a sec. Also a great place to start. Yeah, got a ton of free videos here. Helpful stuff. There's tons of other free video tutorials on YouTube if you don't like my style. Tons of other paid tutorials out there as well. I'm all for, you know, getting in and getting educated about your passions. But I guess you don't really know if you're passionate yet, right? You're just getting started. Don't even know where to start. But that's, hey, where we all start. That's where I started, way back when. It's been a while. Wow, what is this head shape that I want to do here? Let me look. Let me think. Let me brain. My brain's not woken up. Rarely is. Alright, let's get a little messy up here. I've been using a couple different brushes to play around with some different ideas for a new clay brush. Something a little bit more messy and fast. And I'm thinking about taking some time to create something new that I'll actually use, but I'm still kind of experimenting. So, still figuring that out. Still figuring this out. I think in terms of shape language, I'm gonna have to probably go more rounded if I want to do this like big belly guy. Big belly boy. And then I said I kind of wanted to go like maybe Minotaur route, and they have like the, I can't remember the name for the type of leg, but it's kind of like a fawn leg or an oxen's leg, you know. Got that extra hinged joint in there. There's a technical name for them, but I don't make them enough to know it. Topology does not matter for 3D printing. The only thing that matters in terms of 3D printing is resolution and, of course, you know, being watertight and all that stuff. Yes, I did just say viola. Voila. Let's see. Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't know who that is, but maybe I will sculpt them. Maybe after looking them up, I'll say that person is so beautiful. I have to sculpt them. Yeah, you can sculpt more than a head in ZBrush Core Mini, absolutely. Yeah, you can do everything you, well, not, you know, in terms of tool set, no, it's going to be a lot harder. You know, it's the free version of the software. It's kind of like using a trial, in my opinion. You know, you're going to be able to do some stuff, but it's not as feature rich. I wouldn't compare it to like MS Paint by any means, but it's kind of like MS Paint versus Photoshop, right? It's like, well, you're going to need a few more features for some things. Or maybe it's like using a pencil versus using Photoshop. Maybe that's a more apt comparison. I don't know. I use the full version of ZBrush, so. All right, we need to get this guy more squat, real short. Let's see. So I want him to be like on his haunches. So this is like my first exploration of this character, so it's gonna be pretty rough here in the initial stages. And honestly, when I'm working on stuff like this, I like to keep things really low, kind of like that, because essentially what happens is you get stuck on what you have on your canvas, on your screen, and it gets really hard to move past that, or it can be really hard to move past that. So it can kind of feel awkward sometimes, but I think, what do I want to do here? The new update is a game changer. I actually haven't really looked into the new update too much. I need to. I have the video pulled up. I just need to take the time to watch it. There hasn't been too much in terms of new features that have really like changed the main workflow of ZBrush in a while. I know that there are like the new bevel brushes, and there was one other thing that I saw that really interested me, but I can't remember what it was. I'm sure you know. How I started in the 3D world. Yeah, I've talked about it before, but I've never really made like one concise video talking about like how I got my start or anything like that. I don't think. Like what are they called? Draw my life. Doesn't this guy look cute? It looks so dumb. All right. So I want him to have these big honkin' arms, chonkin' honkin'. And I want them to be really long, and I want his stomach to be really big, and I want his legs to be really short. Like, I don't want him to be a ball, but I kind of want him to be a ball. So something like that in terms of shape language for the main belly form. And then just trying to play with that back side a little more. And these are just a couple spheres that we slapped on there. And then this shape, it's kind of representing, you know, some fat and the general shape of the pec, but we kind of need to pull that up. Like, no matter, well, I won't say no matter how fat you are, but for the most part, you're still going to have like a hard shelf right here. A lot of little features like that, things that most people aren't aware of, but I've been using the transpose line for so long. I'm a big fan of it. It's a lot better in my opinion than the 3D Gizmo, minus of course the fact that the deformers are in the Gizmo. So if you learn the transpose line, very helpful, very powerful tool. Alright, so I was thinking like more animalistic for the head, hence the kind of like general large muzzle shape that I've created here. But I'm gonna need to like look up some pictures of some like bison or buffalo or bull. Isn't what is a minotaur? A bull? Isn't it a bull? So that's something I need to look at a little more there. But in terms of main shapes, proportionally, it's going the right way, but still a lot more to do. It's gonna be a while. Like, you can do inflate operations with the transpose line. Whoever was just asking about that. By right-clicking on that end circle as well. Lots of really cool stuff that you can do there. Probably don't want him like too tapered in there for the pigeon toed shape, or else it'll end up like, we probably want these turned out a lot to like really widen the stance, make them feel even more kind of like girthy. Still kind of keeping that rounded shape through the bottom. Oh, and here, one sec. Missed you. Yeah, I missed you guys too. It's been a long time since the last stream. I think over a couple months. I know all the basics, but when I sculpt something, it's horrible. Any advice? I don't know. That's a really general question. Maybe, I don't know. I think basics, fundamentals are everything. And if your fundamentals aren't good, you know, nothing you do on top of that is going to be good. Maybe it's that you're not working on basics. Maybe it's that you're rushing ahead a little too quickly on some stuff. And that can be some, you know, maybe one of your problems, but it's really hard without me getting to look at a specific example. But that would be like my first instinct. If you're not, you know, happy with what you're creating, it is most likely down to your most basic shapes, your very fundamental forms. And then here for the hand, I have a big old fat hand that I made a while ago. I'm gonna use that here. I really like these hands. I don't think I've ever used these, on a character other than the one I made them for. But I was like, I will use these as a base, like a starting point one day. Maybe that's today. Maybe that's today. They're still gonna need some warping and changing, but here's the basic hand. Just, you know, a bigger hand, shorter, stubbier fingers. This was made, or these were made for my work when I did the Louis Gadea salesman character. He's on my art station if you guys want to check him out. Alright, let's shift these forward. And then for the arm, I need to just play with this shape for 2 seconds. Figure out a couple things. Let's go real wide here on the forearms. There's this really cool character I saw the other day, and I don't remember where. Oh, I think it was in a cinematic for something, for, I can't remember. Maybe Apex? But it was this character that had, like, these really thick forearms and these really skinny biceps. That's not what I'm gonna do here, but I really liked the aesthetic. It was kind of like this, like, almost boxer aesthetic. It was cool. It was cool stuff. I'm a big fan of, like, really playing with proportions. That's like a little too skinny, I think, for the upper arm. And the delt, like this shape here, is just kind of stuck on. This, like, flows into your upper arm a lot more. So there's a lot of things here that need to be played with, but, you know, we're getting some of the basic shapes down. I don't want to do anything with the head yet. I'll look at that in a sec, though. Just pull that up there. And you'll notice I'm just, like, keeping everything really, like, low, super messy, stretched. Because we're just working on really basic, simple forms right now. The chest, very spherical. I would like to really push the pec forms to be a lot more exaggerated. Really kind of get like that skin fold, inflated type feel there. Add the thumbnail? You mean the thumbnail viewer? I'm not sure what you're talking about there. I'm not making a specific concept if that's what you're saying there. Is ZBrush easier than Blender? No, I don't think so. I think they're probably about the same. It really depends on your background and what you want to do. If you want to sculpt, I recommend ZBrush. If you want to be more general, I recommend Blender. But if you're not a professional, I don't really think there's any reason to get ZBrush, personally. It's an expensive software, but it is the best sculpting software. That's why I use it. If there's a better tool, I will switch, but currently there's not. That's why I use ZBrush. Cam view, is that what it's called? It's in the preferences. Oh, I think you're thinking of the, that's the head, right? Yeah, that's the head. The thumbnail view, that thing. Yeah. I don't use either of those because they didn't exist when I started using ZBrush, and now they just like clog up my screen even more. I'm like, I need screen space to like look at things, like especially when I'm zoomed in a lot. I don't want things clouding or clogging up my screen. That's kind of annoying to play with or to have there. So yeah, there we go. We're starting to inflate on that shape. That's too much, but the interaction that I want there is probably going to have to take some more volume here to kind of get that like kind of like a letter M shape if you're looking at it from the side where it like starts to curl in on itself. Alright, so for the head, if you want to have a big guy, big character, a really good strategy or a technique is to make your head very small. This can make the proportions of the character seem very large, very helpful. Alright, let's pull these arms out a little more to the side. Getting in the way of the bod. That big, bodacious bod. And you'll notice he doesn't really have like a torso. He's kind of just like belly in. There's a lot of shapes going on back here. For the triceps, I was actually doing, I need to share it. I did a little sketch a couple mornings ago. Just playing around with some anatomical form. I did a face, as I oft do. Played around with some anatomy, just like some simple stuff. I'll share it later after this stream. I forgot to post it. Got your lats, your latissimus dorsi. Got your booty. He's not really gonna have a butt though. He's just kind of this rounded form. In terms of anatomical, you know, there's gonna be, obviously this guy's gonna end up being very stylized. Look at the shapes we got going on so far. So he's gonna be very stylized, obviously. But in terms of what I'm going to have and what I'm not going to have, that is the question that I do not know yet. And that's why we're here. To play around, to sketch around in the dirt for a little, and see what happens. By the way, the pec connects to the humerus, your upper arm bone. That like slides out here. Connects on up in there. So, very common mistake that I often see. Let's go a lot chunkier on the shoulder. Something like that. maybe a little longer, even so, on the arms. Something around there. And with a really big character, I feel like big hands are a really fun thing to play around with, to like really push on those ideas, push on that proportional form there. Gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with these legs. I'm gonna delete that old piece. We didn't even give them really much of hips here to play around with. Give them big old gams. Alright, so I'm gonna have to get some like bovine features in here eventually. Isn't that fun? A little creepy. Most things are a little creepy when you start out. The latissimus, yeah. Great muscle. I could sculpt a totally new character out of your character's torso. That'd be fun. It'd be a fun challenge. First time seeing one of your streams and seeing your actual speed is amazing. I've been sculpting for a long time. I honestly think I'm a slow sculptor personally, compared to many other professionals. But yeah, let's get in on this face. Let's start doing some things here. I'll try to keep an eye on chat, but if I miss your question or anything, just, you know, repeat it and I'll take another look. It's most likely I'm not ignoring you. I probably just missed it. I do have a Blender tutorial, yeah. Over on my Gumroad. It's a lighting and rendering tutorial, because that is what I use Blender for. For this mouth, let's just chunk out some stuff here real quick. Rude. There we go. Alright, so bovine. Snouts are narrow. Let's turn on perspective for a sec. Nose is an M. And let's get some extra volume up here. I'm gonna be a little rough here. Let me see. Where is the... So I mentioned earlier I've been playing around with some clay brushes a little extra. Let's just do this real quick. That'll be fine. All right. I gotta be a little messy here for a sec. I've never really blended too much animalistic form with human anatomy, so we can see how that goes. Like I said, we gotta discover the direction while we're here. Let's do a little choppy chop. Get rid of that. And you know, I kind of flip-flop on working on the head early on or not. It really just kind of depends. If I know exactly what I want to do, I'll spend a decent amount of time on the face initially, just because it's fun. And it can like really help you figure out the direction you want to go with some other shapes. But here, when I'm just kind of discovering, I like to figure out like the whole kind of, you know, some of the big picture stuff. And then we'll come in and start actually working on the face. Figure out some stuff here as well. Alright. So, I mentioned earlier when things get messy, it can be hard to move forward, but, you know, my recommendation for that is to work at a lower resolution or just try to get used to that fact. You can also sometimes blur your eyes a little if you're really struggling. It can be hard to kind of get past this point, but let's do an insert sphere. And make sure that that is aligned properly. Perspective can cause some misalignments with the transpose line in 3D Gizmo. That's very frustrating. So let's go transparency. And we're gonna probably do some smaller eyes, but let me just get that over on the other side. Looking reptilian right now. We do not want a reptile. We'll play with that. Cow's eyes, I think, are on the front of their head, right? They're prey creatures. But maybe these will be more, or I'm sorry, they would be on the sides of their head. So for this, I actually don't know. But kind of getting that human element in there might be a good way to kind of flip that on its head if we need to. I'm not sure that we need to, though. All right, so let's start getting some human landmarks in there. You know what? Actually, here, I'm going to delete that. I know what I want to do here. We're going to really start off, I think, a lot more human. You know what? Maybe this initial direction kind of works. And then let's get that front plane coming down into the jaw. So let's maybe start here. You know, a little more human, somewhat. And then we can play around with getting that like wide kind of nose on there. That looks like a mouth. It's not though. It's just cutting out that nose shape. Yeah, I think that might start to work. We'll have to do some more work there to figure that out, but yeah. I'll have to play with that too. But this is why it's really important. You notice how messy everything is. You're just, you know, sculpting in the mud a little, trying to figure things out. For the ear shape, I don't know. No idea. I'll just start with our classic sphere. They have like pointed ears. So, you know, maybe we can start there. But honestly, I'd feel more comfortable just starting off with a more human shape. Turned out. And maybe a little larger. Alright, so let's get more human in terms of proportion. So pull down, eyes more front or forward facing. Pull that forward there. Raise up back of the head. Jaw out. Cheekbone's a little weird there. Let's pull that all in. Pull that eye forward. Your eyes do not face directly forward unless you're like looking right at your nose. They're very, very slightly, like 5 to 10 degrees turned out. But if you don't do that, they look very cross-eyed. All right, so let's get some shapes going on. Since we've kind of decided on a direction slightly. Let's see. Yes, I have countless artists that I look up to. Many, many, many. If you go to my ArtStation, ArtStation/Follygon, or just go on artstation.com and look me up, you will see all the artists that I follow. There are tons of them, yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely possible to get good, not just decent, but amazing hard surface results in ZBrush. I've seen it time and time again, and I've done it myself. Yeah, I've actually made weapons in ZBrush professionally I worked on stuff for Iron Man a long time ago in ZBrush. Yeah, I wouldn't. So I wouldn't recommend using the clay buildup brush for you. So I always say, hey, there are 2 clay brushes that are default that I recommend. There's the clay buildup and clay tubes, or you can of course grab my custom brushes, which I have my own clay brush. That's quite a bit more clean and controllable. But if you cannot control the clay buildup brush, you should not use it. It is, in my opinion, more of an advanced brush that is harder to use, harder to control, as I just said. So, you know, don't use it. It's a tough brush. It's not an easy one. Not a beginner brush at all, and in some ways, not even an intermediate level brush that I would recommend. All right. So yeah, try out that clay buildup, or try out even my brushes. But I would use the default stuff first, for sure. Don't forget to save. Nah, I don't save. I never save anymore. I'm not even being facetious at all. What was... Yeah, I'd like sculpted here. Where is it? Let me open this up real quick. Here's the sketch that I did the other day. So I did this, I didn't really do much with the torso and arms yet. Mostly the face, which is pretty obvious. But I think I worked on this for like, I did 40 minutes at first, and then I did 40 minutes like the next morning. I really haven't had a whole lot of time to get much sculpting done. So yeah. But yeah, I didn't save the entire time I was working on this, and I was like, oh, I should probably save this. Like, I just left ZBrush open, left it going. But yeah, little fun guy for us here. He can guide us as we continue on our sculpting journey. He'll hang out up here in the corner for a little while as we play with this. Heck, maybe we can use his facial shapes as a reference in terms of maybe some more blocky forms. I don't really reference my own work very often, though. That's kind of a weird practice, or a weird thing to do, in my opinion. So yeah, I kind of like mentioned fusing some bovine features in here. I don't know how much I want to do that, though. That's like, it's me experimenting, figuring out that design right now. And I'm gonna be honest, I probably won't find it in this stream. I'll probably try out a few different options. No, I don't really watch other people's sculpting videos. I used to watch traditional sculptors a lot. That's where I learned a lot of my techniques, and yeah, I don't really have too much time to watch other sculptors, and yeah, I don't know. I spend most of my time sculpting. Yeah, that brush is a little tough to control. Definitely try out the tubes, though. I think that'll help you out. Let's see. Kind of looking like a clown, right? Let's how much can I? So actually, with like a, you know, more bovine features, the muzzle here kind of like combines with this upper lip. So maybe that's something I can do. I don't think I've ever sculpted a cow. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. But I have sculpted like lots of like cervidae, deer-esque creatures. maybe we can give him like a cool underbite here or something. I'm not attached to like anything that we have right now at all. So like these eyes are like way too high. There's like some weird proportional stuff that we need to fix. This brow shape is really weird. Honestly, I prefer like if I'm trying to make a strong blocky guy, I'll give him a really kind of straight line brow. Yeah, a little bit of a better direction. Like eyes, so, you know, it's really tough at this point when things are really messy. I try to stay in this part of the process as long as possible though. So when things are so messy like this, you know, the slightest change that you make can make a character feel completely different. Because the eyes and mouth are so expressive, it can be really hard if you are not used to sculpting faces to work this way, to work messy. But honestly, that's what you need to do. That we're talking about, you know, basics, primary form here. Sculpting is not an easy thing whatsoever. Kind of looking a little pig-like, which I'm actually okay with as well. That was another direction I was thinking about somewhat going in. I do not have any pigs to reference right now, though. I was almost thinking like a Ganon-esque character could be cool. Take some inspiration from the pig version of Ganon. I think Ganondorf is the human version. Ganon is like the pig boy. So that might be cool. I kind of like that forehead shape. Getting really chunky, really blocky. This jaw is going back way too far. Well, maybe not way too far, but too far for me. That could be a cam view icon. This guy, or this one. Yeah, I know you can set like custom versions for that, which is pretty fun. What is my favorite animated movie? Oh god. Oh, you know what? I really like Tangled a lot. I also have watched the Goofy movie just about a million times. So probably, you know, I'd have to say the Goofy movie, since that's, you know, an older one, a classic. I watched that a million times growing up, like every night. But yeah, I really like Tangled a lot too. Do I have fun sculpting client work? I used to, but I actually don't take on client work anymore because I don't need to. All of my work, all my time now is really focused on my students, my mentorship program, the Appeal Academy, which is currently full, hence why I'm spending all my time on that. And then my Patreon, making tutorials and making content here. So no, I don't really take on client work anymore. But that's kind of how I want it. It's like, so it's kind of a long story to get into, but you know, essentially way back when I saw, oh no, we froze. There we go. That happens on occasion. We'll do a quick save just in case we crash. I'll actually save. Denise, no worries. But yeah, you know, I saw a lot of people going into the industry that I am in, working for 30 plus years, and then coming out and smacking their Cintiq really hard. their very expensive Cintiq and breaking it. And then they'd come out of the industry and say, hey, I want to do my own thing now. And I thought, you know, what does that look like if I did that now? So for a long time, I did freelance and take on a lot of client work. A lot of really cool stuff. You know, even when I was working in the industry, I worked on a lot of cool stuff. You know, I've worked on a lot of different IP. But yeah, eventually I got to a point where I didn't have to do that. You know, I'd rather work for myself than work for somebody else. You know, it seems like a cool job. I'll be honest though, it is a job. Making art is still a job when you're making it for somebody else. But if you can make it for yourself, that's really cool. That's a great place to be. But also, I love teaching. I really have a passion for teaching and training others. When I started my YouTube channel way back when, there were no other real people like on ZBrush making sculpting videos. There was like one or two other people making ZBrush content, digital sculpting content. And still, like today, there's not a lot of digital sculptors on YouTube. Not that I really consider myself a YouTuber by any means, but I like making videos here every once in a while. I really enjoy live streaming and hanging out, talking, answering questions. Just kind of the chill, more of a chill vibe kind of thing. I do enjoy also like making really long projects and making like a really polished video where I talk about my entire process, and I have done many of those, but those kind of stopped doing very well on YouTube. So I kind of stopped doing those just because I would spend like a month on a video and then it would get as many views as something that I would spend like a day on. So it's just not really worth my effort to do that. But with streaming, I can work on like a lot of really cool stuff and kind of just hang out and stream and have some fun and answer some questions and stuff. So, you know, kind of the best of both worlds in my opinion, at least for now. Alright, so I'm starting to sharpen up some features. I'm going to have to fight between pig and cow a little here. Although I might lean into it. You know, if you have something happening that you didn't intend, but you do like it, you can. Hey, lean into it. It could be a really cool direction. That mask is too big. There we go. Currently, I do not have a date for when my mentorship program will open back up. But I will make an announcement as soon as it is. You like stylized characters, but are there companies who make stylized characters for collectibles? Yeah, like most like little collectible PVC vinyl figures are like hyper stylized. I'm not really a collector myself, but like if you go onto those types of websites, there's a ton of them. Like there's like literally a million. Yeah, they're all like, you know, Mickey Mouse ripoffs kind of thing. Not all of them, but like a lot of the, I don't want to say fine art because it's not, but I don't even know how it, like it's just like the collectible vinyl scene. Like there's a very particular style that people kind of enjoy in that. I know, you know, a lot of people are into that. What's his name? PewDiePie collects certain vinyl figures. But yeah, like lots of people are into that. not really my thing. I've been approached by quite a few different companies that are like, hey, do you want to sculpt vinyl figures for us? And I'm like, kind of, but kind of not. It sounds like it might be cool, but it's a big time investment when I already have so much else going on. Trying to figure out that eye shape a little better for that lacrimal area, that outside corner up here. Got a little thing there called the lacrimal gland. There's some fat as well that kind of rounds out your brow. I don't know. Don't know what I'm gonna do with that shape. I think what I'd like to do now, I don't want him to look too surprised either. Get some actual quick eyelids in there. What's the age of the youngest student you've had? I think around 14, if I'm not mistaken. But I get, you know, I have one guy who's, I think, in his 60s, like, never too late, never too early. Here, I need to turn double on for a couple of these real quick. Forgot to do that. Relatively easy to fix, though. But yeah, he really wanted to take the course, and I don't know if he saved up or what, but yeah. I always say that I work with people on their first day, and I work with people that are industry veterans. I've worked with people from Capcom, Disney, Blizzard, yeah, so. I kind of messed this up. That's okay. What up, Spear Chuck? Welcome. Alright, so some just real simple shapes there. Still figuring it out. I am not someone that actually does like a ton of personal work, so like somebody was saying earlier, you're so fast at sculpting. I'm like, well, you sit there and wait a second. Let's try to concept and sculpt at the same time. That's where the real speed starts to shine. All right, let's figure out this lip shape a little more as well. Uh-oh. Started to lag there for a second. I'm actually not sure how this would work. You know, blending human and animal. Ugly, ugly boy. So squat, so fat. Let's do this for a little bit. Let's just kind of work on the bigger picture. Let's grab anything that we're working on there for the head. Pull that up. And let's grab this body and make some real big changes here. We're gonna really lengthen him. Start to pull this forward even wider. Then we're gonna grab these legs. Something a little more in that direction. And I'm really going to sharpen this up later, but right now I can't really do that. I don't really believe in like cleaning up right now at this stage, just because so much is going to change later on. Like when you're concepting, it's just not worth taking the time to clean up. Alright, we got a little too much of a shelf here. Very, very common issue actually. Alright, so I might go for like, I do like the idea of the like more rounded belly and like huge proportional craziness, but it might just be a little too much. But it is kind of fun. Alright, let's just T-pose out of here. I'll play with this later. I think I'm just going to focus on the head a little more. I have, yeah, I was talking about that earlier. It's a really cool show. Studying some game art. Sounds like fun. I'm not personally into creating for games very much. I haven't done too much for games. Just, what's it called? Clash of Clans. But I'm not super interested in working on games. And I only sculpted for them anyway. I think I just inverted my normals. Alright, we're good. So if I wanted to like really push that muzzle idea, I might be able to do that. But let's start warping some stuff pretty hard now. But before I do that, I need to remesh this, or else I will just stretch all my Dynamesh geometry, and that will be horrible. So let's start there. I have a Wacom Cintiq, so a pen display. There we go. Cool. All right, so low poly. We're just gonna get that resolution back real quick. I don't really need probably even this much, but that'll be fine. See, look, we're still capturing all those big shapes, so we're fine. That's what we need. Okay, and then very important not to be attached to anything right now. Okay, yeah, I actually like that. Like that general direction. You have to make a game prototype. That sounds like a lot of work just to get in for game art. One thing I will say about a lot of those universities, one, they're bad, but two, they're not good at teaching you what you actually need to know. Hence why I started my school. All right. Alright, I'm trying to really yoink that forward. Very technical term, by the way. Yoink. If you're going to be, whoa, a digital sculptor, you got to learn the terms, the terminology. If I could quantify my style, it would be sharp cheekbones on everything. I like the push. I like the general idea. It might be a little overplayed. That, or we just go hard in that direction and we're like even harder. I gotta make that smaller. I don't really like the shape of the nose. I gotta figure that out a little more. No, Lakshay, I don't know Candace. Who is Candace? Go ahead. Come on, you don't think I know these? Prevent lazy people from joining. Well, I mean, I think they'll take your money either way. But yeah, they do want you know, their students to be successful because it makes them look good. Yeah, ideas are great, but execution, that's where it all comes together, right? That's what they say. All right. We're heading in a direction. I don't want him to get too sad looking. Ha ha ha. Unfortunately, YouTube's auto filters blocked your fabulous joke that no one saw coming a mile away. I'm really immature. You are, but that's okay, aren't we all? Self-awareness is a mark of maturity, so maybe not as immature as you think. What if we go super narrow here and just really exaggerate that kind of like capital T shaped kind of bovine face? I'm gonna move these eyes around a little. Let's see, maybe make them a little larger. Might have to start playing with shape language a little more. Starting to figure that out. Right now, everything's kind of all over the place. I said more rounded, but it's kind of gotten a little blocky here. I'm just going to sharpen up some major forms real quick, and then go back through and soften everything up. And the mouth is currently really human, but I could switch that up pretty quick. I think starting more human, though, was a good idea, and then like adding the more animalistic features on top, because trying to like do it all at once was a little tough for me. It's not, like I said, it's not really something I've done before, first and foremost, but like, you know, we're concepting, so it's like we have to have some starting point, some base of an idea of what we want. So starting with something that I am relatively familiar with is a good idea. Are you doing some sort of pig man? Yeah, something like that. We don't really know yet. We're just kind of sculpting and playing around. Pig, bovine, human character. Anthropomorphic, I believe, is the term. Alright, let me try playing around with opening this mouth a little now, and maybe going more animal. Well, hold on. Let's try this first. Alright, yeah. Alright, let's do this. Let's open this mouth. So people have asked me many times, how do you open a mouth when you're sculpting something like this? It's very easy. You chop it off. I mean, you've already sculpted the shape, so there's no reason to like depress in a form like with a standard brush or an inflate brush. That would just kind of break things, and you would lose all the shapes that you've created. So in this case, you just make a poly group from a mask, Control W. That's how you do that. And then you just split it off. And then you open it up, just like a jaw. Jaw hinges at the back. Important to keep that in mind. You don't just grab it with a move brush. You don't do one of these. Yuck, yuck, yuck. So you don't do that. You can grab it from the pivot, the jaw. You open it way back yonder. Alright, geometry's getting a little messed up back there, no worries. Please don't explode, it did. Alright. Instead of that, we'll just do a close holes. And then, you know, we can fill in the mouth however we want. There are many ways to go about that. I don't really worry about it being a super clean cut, because like everything's really rough right now, so it's okay. It's okay to keep it messy. Don't fear the messiness if you're confident, you know, if you know you can clean it up later. Maybe fear the messiness if you know you can't. But I know for a fact that I can clean it up later. Alright, so like the muzzle of a cow or bull tends to be more rectangular. Mine still kind of has that human flatness there, kind of blending up into the jaw. Yeah, we can combine these back up. That is fine. I'm just using Dynamesh for all of this. No reason to use live boolean unless you're trying to create something clean. We are definitely not. And then I think I'm going to extend these lips back real far. He also has some stuff there in the middle I should have moved. No worries. Hold on, I'm bad at this. There we go. Alright. Let's push that up out of the way, just so I don't see it from the side view. Alright, there we go. We'll fill in the rest of that here in a sec. Do you ever get attached to some quick doodles and keep saying you'll go back? No, honestly, I kind of forget about them. This little dude here on the left was a quick doodle of about an hour and a half, I think. 80 minutes. But yeah, you know, I might do... Here I am. I'm saying the exact thing that you just said. I wanted and I still want to do something else with this. I might use it for one of these characters that I have planned. I'd like to do a small series of characters, but I'm not entirely sure if this will be useful for that. I would probably have to sculpt out the hair, redo the back of his skull, and play with a couple other things. I really liked the profile of this guy. I was kind of playing with this like thrust forward lower jaw, that big lower lip. But yeah, he was really fun to play with. I also played around with sketching in some anatomical forms, a little more, but obviously most of the time they're spent on the face. That body's real rough, but that's kind of the point for some stuff when I'm studying. I don't want to refine it a ton. It's more about the big shapes. And yeah, just a matter of time to like clean something up after that. All right, let's extend these lips real far back here. Figure out what we're gonna do with this shape. Whoops. I do watch anime. I really like One Punch Man. The second season was not up to par with the first, but it was animated by a completely different studio, and Studio Trigger did the first, and that kind of just automatically makes the second season worse. But there were a lot of like kind of cheap things done in that second season. Let's see, what else? What do I like? I'm not really watching any anime right now. I need to catch up on the slime, Rimuru. I have not caught up on that. And I know they did like a spin-off of that as well. So yeah, there's a couple that I need to catch up on. Oh, and what's the new like shonen-esque anime? Not Demon Slayer's. Demon Slayer's okay. What's the? It has demons in it. I can't remember what it's. No Kaizen? Something no Shinjuku? Not Shinjuku. Something no Kaizen maybe. This YouTube stream will be uploaded to my channel afterward, as long as there's no weird copyright things all over it. I'm using a copyright-free playlist, but YouTube's system is so broken. I've had custom music created that is completely original, and that gets copyright striked sometimes. So it's pretty bad. So hopefully, yes. I don't use Nomad really that often because ZBrush is so much better and so much faster. But I think Nomad's a great tool, especially if you don't have a computer that you can run ZBrush on, or if you can't afford ZBrush. Nomad is a really great option. Yeah, I don't really have anything negative to say about Nomad other than I have a better tool for the job, so a better, faster tool. I'm really excited about tablet sculpting though, just because a future where I don't have to sit at my desktop computer all day for sculpting is a future that I am very excited about and I very much want. It's just not there yet. It's just really not there yet in terms of the technology or the the software. If we got a mobile version of ZBrush, I would really want a keyboard to go along with that. I would have to use a keyboard just for all the hotkeys that I use, switching between brushes, custom pop-up menus, hotkeys for other things like creating polygroups, all sorts of things. So yeah, hopefully sooner rather than later. But digital sculpting is like kind of a fringe thing. It's not a thing that a lot of people even know exists. All right, I gotta figure out this this mouth a little more here. I think that's just going back too far now. I really pushed on that idea. It's okay to warp it a lot. We can fix it. And we're still kind of keeping things pretty rough here. But in terms of like basic idea, I'm not really in love with this. So I probably just want to like warp this even more. I did like the change of like really pushing the snout forward, but now that I've started to open up the mouth a lot more, it's kind of pushed into a weird territory. So back to the sculpting board. Jujutsu no Kaisen. Yes, thank you. Or Jujutsu Kaisen, not no Kaisen. It's not possessive. Yeah, the concept on the couch, just kind of like chill. Yeah, I'm into it. There's that, kind of rough starting point. Oh, it's still rough, but figuring out a few more things as we concept that head. Speaking of concepting, One Piece. Dear God, I do not feel bad for you at all. I think I've gotten up to like episode 200 on One Piece and I just couldn't anymore. It's just way too much. and it's not anywhere near good enough or worth the payoff to like sit through 300 episodes for one episode for you to say, yeah, that thing finally happened. That's not my jam. Learned a lot from my head sculpting tutorial. I'm not sure which one, but that's awesome. Glad to hear. Female form or base meshes? Yeah, I just actually released a tutorial over on my Patreon on the difference between base meshes and blockouts and how to make those. And I create... Here, let me find it real quick and I'll open it up. My drive is being a little slow. It's thinking. The planes of the head one, most likely, I think. Here you go. So yeah, I just released a tutorial over on my Patreon on one, the differences between base meshes and blockouts, but also kind of going through learning how to study references, things that you can look for in a reference to help you kind of hit the mark, which is a little bit of a joke if you've actually watched it. But yeah, definitely something that I think would interest you. It's over on my Patreon. Tufan, thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate the kind words, man. Hope you're having a great day as well. Alright, I'm trying to go in more of a bovine direction here. A more cow or bull. The nose really makes it feel more piggy, but that's, like I said, that's kind of okay. Like, I'm not against that. Yeah, absolutely, man. How does my Patreon work? It's you go to it and you can click sign up and you get monthly tutorials and you can kind of see what I'm working on behind the scenes, some stuff like that. I post some works in progress there that I don't really share anywhere else, but for the most part, most people come for the monthly tutorials. And then, of course, there is my Patreon-only Discord, where you can come and hang out and chat with me all the time. I'm on there every day. And then, honestly, it's like, I'm not selling it, but I'm not selling it very well, but it's honestly a really fantastic group of people. Like, everybody who does join, they say, like, that actually ended up being my favorite part, and it's the part that I, like, initially cared the least about. But people are really active in there, like every single day, talking, sharing their work, helping others. So really, really great community of people. Signor, welcome. A Trolloc from the Wheel of Time. I've not read the Wheel of Time, thankfully, because I'm not a masochist. But thank you. I don't know what that creature is, but it sounds cool. How many books are in the Wheel of Time currently? Like 50? Maybe more. I do come from a reading household. We are learned. We know of the Wheel of Time. We just choose not to participate. I'm currently reading Elantris. I took a break from the Way of Kings series to check out Brando Sando's first book. For those that are not readers, Brandon Sanderson. Or for those that don't read fantasy, I should say. I've also had the next cycle of books from the Red Rising series after the trilogy concludes, sitting on my bookshelf for quite a while that I've been putting off. Hey, when you're a sculptor, it kind of takes up a lot of your time. Is the excuse that I'm going to use for now. And for always, probably. Love some Brando Sando. Heck yeah. Gotta get that, I forget what it's called, but like at the end of his books, when he just like kind of dumps everything on you at once, you're like, wow, I've been reading this book for literally 30 hours and nothing has happened. And then at the end, he's just like, here's everything you've been waiting for. That is the Sando dump or something. Oh, what's it called? My friend told me about it. He's like into the Way of Kings subreddit or whatever. Yeah, Elantris is, it's been really good for a debut novel. It's been really fun. It's a really, really cool concept. I'm about, I think I'm 68% of the way through. I'm listening to the audiobook. In the past, I actually have not been into audiobooks, but I kind of recently got into them. I've always been more of like a paper book reader. But I listened to a ton of podcasts, so it kind of made sense when I like actually started listening. I was like, okay, I could do this. But I really don't like Kindle readers. I'm not a huge fan of reading on a screen too much. And the only reason for that is because I stare at screens all day. Alright, so this general idea with this body, I think I'm gonna have to like really proportionally warp this to like make that into something that makes sense. Like minotaurs aren't typically super round beer-bellied, you know, like this very rounded shape language. They're more like T-shaped or upside down triangle. But I don't know. That's something that I could try to flip on its head. Sometimes it is good to play into stereotypes. And sometimes it's not worth the trouble of taking the time to like really try to make something feel a certain way when you don't have much reference for that. It's something that I will have to play with and think about. But what's cool about, you know, just kind of sketching out some concept ideas is that you don't have to use any of them. Like, I don't feel attached to this whatsoever. Like, it's totally okay if it just ends up being nothing. And I do nothing more with it than this stream. Because, you know, got to do some sculpting, and I like sculpting, even if it doesn't turn into anything, even if it's just for the sake of sculpting. I think that's a really good place to be as an artist. And it's, you know, something that I recommend a lot of people. If you don't enjoy that, if you don't enjoy doing the thing just for the sake of doing the thing, I would say practice that because it's a really important skill to learn and have. All right, I've been noodling on that too long, so let's make some big changes or nothing. I listen to a ton of different podcasts. I listen to My Brother and Me. I've listened to Adventure Zone since day one. I'm a huge fan of them. Hey Riddle Riddle is one that I really enjoy a lot. I always try to get back into Critical Role, but it's like really hard for me. It's just the episodes are 3 times longer than they need to be if they were edited. Mission to Zix is very good, and Hello from the Magic Tavern are some of the other top ones that I really enjoy that have been mainstays for quite a while. Alright, what to do with this face, this idea? Just sculpted a Minotaur yesterday. Hey, very nice. That's awesome. Should find some more Minotaur reference, some more cow reference. Like I said, I started human and then I started going more cow that way, but along the way it started to turn pig, and I leaned into that. I was fine with that. Now I'm like, I don't know. I don't know the direction that I want here. And that's part of it. I'm kind of looking for some cool shapes. I do enjoy the shape for the nose a lot more now that I've started to push in that direction, but the way it's kind of flowing into the rest of the face through here is just really, really boring visually. So yeah, something I want to play with more. I don't want to make something boring, but it's really hard to make something interesting. I don't know if you guys have tried to make interesting things before. Not easy. At least, not for me. So I'm going to play with the shapes of this face. And if it starts to go like too, like, it's kind of looking like demon. Like, I don't want demon. That just feels boring, feels dumb. Oh, you know what would probably help as well? At least putting some horns on him, but I don't, again, avoid demon. Demon guy. Graph. Do what I want. I'm being bad at clicking because my microphone's in the way. I can't see. Cool, there we go. That is what I wanted. It was a lot of effort to move 2 dots around. Struggling with the just enjoying aspect, yeah. It's a tough thing. Or it can be, I guess. Everything just feels like you should be doing everything for improvement, which burns out real quick, yeah. So like, I've been bouldering a lot, which is like rock climbing, but like the short, small, hard version of rock climbing. That kind of helps actually him feel a lot more bovine, in my opinion. And I think the ears would probably help in terms of silhouette as well. Something at least just like that. I'll just do like a really quick initial shape. But yeah, like doing stuff for enjoyment. I mean, like I just said, I've been bouldering a lot, and it's fun to improve at bouldering, but I also really just enjoy climbing for the sake of doing it. It's a really great workout. It's really hard, it's exhausting, and it's fun when you do complete some like big challenging stuff. But I also enjoy completing like the easy stuff, just because it's like, oh, that was like a really interesting route that I just climbed, or, you know, I've never seen that specific move before, you know, finding the little things that you kind of enjoy about it. And if you're struggling to find that, you shouldn't do it. Like, you should take a break if you can. Like, if you're trying to like really level up and get to a professional state as quick as possible, you know, maybe you can't do that. But if you can, then stop. Like, you're not gonna be successful at something like that you don't want to do. I always say, like, and this sounds kind of harsh, but it's like, also if you don't enjoy like doing it too much, like you might have to ask yourself some like really hard questions, like, do I want to do this for a living? Like, or, you know, stuff like that. But if it's just a hobby, it's like, take a break from your hobby. It's not going anywhere. It'll be there when you get back. Alright, that actually starts to feel a little better. Very fun to not have a plan and just, yeah, absolutely. Just like get in and start shaping up some stuff. That's exactly what I did with this guy on the left. Literally, I named him Guy. It was just Guy 3, third version of Guy. Actually, the second, I don't know. I think I like merged, I dynameshed like the arms to the torso and then saved it as a new version just in case I wanted to chop the arms off, but honestly, not that hard to redo. But yeah, I think it's fun to just like get in and kind of sketch around, noodle around, see where it takes you. And that's kind of where I'm going here. Just kind of sketching, noodling around until I start to see something that I enjoy. And then lean more in that direction. I think that's like a really just fun exercise. I went in with like a little plan, like, right, I said minotaur earlier. It's like cow, bovine, something like that. But if it starts to like naturally lean in another direction, such as a pig, I don't know, lean into it. I think that's some of the fun things that can just really happen with art. Alright, I'm gonna throw like a little cylinder, or I guess cube, in his mouth to represent the teeth. So, did you see that like little move that just all of a sudden makes him like look way more angry? It's this is why eyes and mouths are so hard, faces are so hard. You just completely change the shape, like, or just like barely change the shape actually, and all of a sudden it feels completely different. Yeah, it's kind of annoying, kind of tough. All right, so I'm just gonna use a cube. Put that in his mouth, and I'm not gonna make any teeth right now, especially when I don't know the shape of the mouth. Like, one thing that I see people mess up a lot is they will start working on things that depend on other stuff, like other forms underneath, and it's like, well, you can't do that yet. You slow down. One thing at a time. So I can't make teeth for him. I mean, I can, but there's no reason to, because it's going to change later. And then I'm just gonna have to adjust or even remake teeth to like get it to fit properly. But getting a simple shape in here, like a cylinder, which is a smooth cube, really helps. It like really helps just kind of fill in that volume, make things not feel so empty there. And it also tells me that his lips are like maybe a little too thick, like looking at that from the profile. Maybe I could realign the lower lip and jaw like a little more. Kind of like thrust this forward. You know, get him doing some chewing. I think those just need to be more narrow, actually. Yeah, put a cattle tag in his ear. That'll move it away from Demon a little more. Yeah, like look how thick this gets right through here. Building it up helps it feel more bovine, like a little more rounded out on the outside kind of deal. I think you might be right. They definitely have like that like lip showing on the out. I don't want them to get like super deep through here though. I'll just leave that for now. Alright, let's just follow through on that shape. I'll probably be blending that out. Hey, he's starting to look like a little bit of something, right? Maybe heading in that direction a little bit more. Maybe a more meaty jaw back here. It's feeling like it was tucked in a little too much. Let me grab that neck. Let's see what this wider neck will feel like. I actually prefer that. Getting that like straight line all the way up the side of the head. Feels really thick, really strong, really bulky. It's a good feel. I like the front more than the profile, but hey, we're getting somewhere, right? I think tucking that. Can't decide on that right now. Alright, we got some messiness we kind of need to clean up a little bit. In a month, where is most of my time spent for my business? Pretty much all on student stuff. So working with my mentees, my students from the Appeal Academy. Like I said, I don't really have like a ton of time for personal stuff. This Sculptober was really, really hectic. Last year, I mean, it always is. Last year was really hectic too. And it's just been kind of real busy lately. So I'm trying to take a little bit slower right now, just for a little bit. But mostly student stuff, to answer your question. But I would really enjoy getting back in, doing some more stuff here on YouTube, doing some more streaming. It's just, you know, hard to find balance for everything. Hard to find time to do every little thing. Especially when all of us have to make money and be able to afford housing, food, etc. All that fun stuff that we love to talk about. But hey, here we are today doing some fun sculpting. Alright, I really like continuing to flow this form up and around the nose. I think that's a really cool shape. And I haven't seen too many of these cool shapes, but we're getting there. We're starting to find some stuff. So I think that's kind of fun. Really exaggerated form. Yes, I do teach online classes. I have a mentorship program called the Appeal Academy. And then I also have a Patreon where I create some more tailored tutorials. So my course, the Appeal Academy, appeal.academy is the URL. There's a link down below. It's where I essentially teach everything that I know about sculpting characters. So if you want to do what I do, that is kind of the best place to go. That is why I made it and why I spend so much time on it. And then my Patreon is, like I said, more tailored. So I do polls and or I do pre-polls and polls. So in the pre-poll, I say, hey, what are you guys interested in learning? You guys all comment below and let me know. And then from there, I will do a poll that people can vote on. Like right now, let's see. I have a poll running for the next month's tutorial, which is going to be on one of these topics. Controlling your form, which will include exercises to improve your sculpting, anatomical proportions and landmarks. The next one, so the one in first place right now is exercises to improve your sculpting. Second place is, so you've created a block out, now what? Essentially the next steps after a block out. And then another one way down at the bottom is sculptural topology and why it is important. So those were all things that everybody had commented previously that they were interested in learning from the Patreon. And then that one is currently in the lead, like I said. Controlling your form, exercises to improve your sculpting. So it's looking like that one is going to be the winner for the next tutorial. But yeah, so if you have like something that you are really interested in learning, something specific that you can't find anywhere else, that is my recommendation. That is the whole point of the Patreon there. I am actually starting to like this this eye shape down here a little more. However, the depth there maybe feels a little too much. So if we can kind of pull this jaw up through here a little better. So I've shifted my light source just so I can kind of see how that's blending a little bit better. You know, with sculpting, a really important thing that you have to keep in mind is that your lighting can kind of cause something to look a little different than it actually is. That's why I'm very, very specific with the materials that I use when I sculpt. You know, very intentional, not using things that I don't think are very good, and that is why I use custom materials that I have created, also available on my my Gumroad at the link below. But You know, I always recommend with all things that you try out the default, and if for any reason you see mine and you say, hey, I really like that and I'd like to grab it, and also it's the benefit of supporting a creator alike, that's when I say you can pick up the custom stuff. But initially, I always recommend everybody starts with the, start with the default. Figure out what you like first. Don't just believe everything I say, because God knows I'm not always right. Alright, this upper shape, real bad. Don't like it. Let's fix it. Let's play with it. Fix is the wrong word. Let's play with it and try to make it better. That sounds better. I really like the way this is kind of shaped up down here a little, especially from the front. That feels pretty good. Might play with that a little more though. Alright, what do I want to do here? Maybe just try to straighten that out a little. Have to be a little careful here too about my poly count on a single subtool. And normally I can do, over 10 million polys, which is not necessary. But I'm noticing like the slightest amount of lag here, only at 1 million. And that's just because of the stream as well, so that takes up a lot of resources. Even though I have a pretty beefy amount of RAM and processor. GPU, a lot of people don't know this. GPU doesn't matter for ZBrush, it's all RAM. It's all RAM and then the processor occasionally. Your GPU is never used. Your CPU is, however, when you Dynamesh. You can watch your task manager while it happens. Alright, so a little straighter on that shape, just kind of simplifying that form. I kind of like the form at the bottom, and I'd like to lead more attention that way. If you have something that you want your viewer to look at, your audience to look at, the last thing you want to do is have that right next to something else that's kind of competing with that for attention. And that's kind of what I have going on there a little, but for the most part, I just want to clean it up and try to simplify it. How many undos do we have here? Can we go all the way back? 1600? 1600 is not a lot. I don't think that's all of them. I'll go back here in a sec, because I know we got some new people jumping in, saying hello. And apologies if the stream stutters here while I'm projecting. I won't project again, that's fine. Yeah, let's just really quick. How far can we go back? I don't think this is all of them. Oh, it is. Wow. 1600 is not a lot of brush strokes. Thought we were a lot further than that. All right, so we'll just scroll through these really quick so you guys can kind of see the development of this. I'll turn off everything else. So, at first I wasn't sure if I was going to go like human, bovine, so I started with both, and then I was like, this is actually nothing. So then I started to go like more human with like a bovine nose, and then just like playing with some planes, some major landmarks. Started to stretch out the mouth, really taper in on that jaw, and continue to push on that shape around that lower jaw corner. Really push on that profile to like change the angle from something that's flat to like really kind of spear point that mouth. And then kind of build up that form around the lips. And then a lot of changes here recently around the eyes. around the brow, and then finally here to where we are now. But yeah, nice little quick rundown. I pretty much never save my undos. I know a lot of people that will, you know, go up here and check their undo history and save that out. Like, there is no world where I'm storing that much data. Like, it's so much faster and easier to just, like, quickly resculpt something if you need to. It's not a huge deal most of the time. Like, everything is you know, like, there's nothing here from those, what, 1600 undos that I'm like, oh yeah, I might want that later. It's like, no. Just plunge forward. Move. Get the things done. Don't waste time. Yeah, so let's clean this up. I do kind of like the way this is shaping up. I also want to change the angle of this eye and kind of slant it down a lot more. I feel like that might just bring some more depth to this area. Right now, it was feeling, you know, a little flat. But I don't want to like bake in too much of an angry expression. Some of that might be a little hard to avoid though. I also want to round this out. Kind of wrap that around there a lot better. And maybe even like taper in on that shape. In all things, like be thinking about your fundamentals, taper is one of those. So going from something that's thick to thin or vice versa. Working and looking up in random intervals. Yeah, no worries, man. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, he's, yeah, you know, sculpting's a slow process. And if you're looking for quick results, you are in the wrong field by a wide margin. Alright, so there's this shape is like kind of forming in here where we get this like natural spiral wrapping around there, which is really cool. I just want to exaggerate that. So now comes the part where I, you know, refine a lot of what I have and hopefully solidify some of the things that I haven't defined as well. So like, you know, I got this edge running through here, but this doesn't need to be like this super sharp hard edge. You can still have a, you know, plane change, a form transition, without it being super sharp. I just like to start things that way, because it like makes it easy to define and find. Same thing up here. We'll blend a lot of that out. Oof, that is nasty. Very uneven. Hence why we are doing some cleanup. I think I'd have to see what you are talking about to know for certain. Subdivision levels are going to help you a lot. So like here's an example. Apple pine. We have this surface here for that like masseter muscle of the jaw. And I don't want to lose this edge, so I'll just step down my subdivision levels. Let me cancel that quick save. We don't need it. Quick saves are for chumps. Just kidding. Always save. And I'll smooth that on a lower subdivision level. So I'm, cleaning up that surface there. I'll wrap some more volume down through the jaw to kind of blend that more naturally. And step up my subdivs and continue to repeat that process. I see some weird kind of divots in my surface down here. So yeah, it's just, about control. Takes some practice for sure, but you'll get better at it with time, hopefully, if you put in the time, that is. But there you go, really clean surface, starting to shape up. Stepping up through the subdivs. So we're kind of solidifying our shapes a lot more, which I am happy to do. This also gives me time to find areas that I have left untouched, where I was thinking, oh yeah, I'll do that later, and then that never happened, or find areas that I just didn't notice before. And this is also why it's really important to take breaks, so that you can come back with fresh eyes, fresh perspective. Notice all the things that you couldn't before. Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, the smooth peaks. I don't personally use that, but that might be something that you can look into. Alright, so I'm really gonna cut this in here and flow that through. And I'm gonna blend this edge out. Kind of a cool shape starting to take place here. It's just like an extra fold kind of wrapping around, and I'm just following that. I'm pulling that shape through, seeing where it goes, and then fading it out. Obviously, a lot of hard edges. Very easy for us to blend, though. Yeah, it definitely needs a lot of work. A lot of dynameshing. Gonna have to remesh a lot of that. Kind of some cool shapes taking place back here. Just kind of marking up some planes. A little bit of a slow process, honestly, today during this sculpt, but we're trying something new, right? We're doing some concepting. Don't really know the direction we're going in, so hey, something new for me, at least. I don't really do a lot of that, but it's something that I want to do more, something that I'm really interested in right now. Looking quite a bit more bovine now. There's still some of those elements that I want to tweak. Right? Actually, a lot of elements that I want to tweak and play with. I still don't like the eyes. Part of that's due to just like this weird eyelid thing that I've done here, but it could use some work. But hey, that's kind of the fun thing about concepting. Trying out a lot of different ideas, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. Still not liking some of that shape in the profile. Definitely some room for improvement. All right. I think I'm getting close to being done here with this basic shape. And I might do like another one of these completely from scratch, but most likely what I'll do is I'll just reiterate on what I have here until I lean more into a direction that I like. I think there are a lot of things that I don't like about this, but there are some things that I do, and I would like to keep some of those here from the front. I do really like what's happening here with some of the nose shape leading into the lips there. I don't really like what's happening back here into that corner. I like some of this, don't like a lot of this, don't like this too much from the profile. So I'd probably lean more away from some of the more human stuff that I've kept in there. Maybe even lean really hard into the bovine aspect of it. Some of this like is really easy stuff to fix, like this area of the jaw here just feels flat. Like that's easy to like experiment with and play with the shape language. Some other stuff is just, you know, some new shapes need to be tried out around that brow, make that more visually interesting. Probably flatten a lot of the top of the head too. But yeah, I don't know. Lots of room to play around with here. Yeah, where do I find inspiration for stylizing my shapes? I don't know if I do. I probably subconsciously pull from things that I've, you know, seen. But for the most part, I've just been sculpting for a really long time. I've been sculpting a lot, so I do know what kind of shapes I like to create. I know what I like to do with my shapes. And I have a really solid base of fundamentals, so that's like the most important thing. If you have your fundamentals down, like, you're not gonna have any problems. Like, you're gonna have problems, but you're not gonna, like, you're gonna struggle, but you're gonna figure it out. And you're going to know why something is not working. So yeah. I don't know. I like to, you know, in this case, I'm pulling from animals. But, like, I've sculpted a lot of faces, so I haven't done, like, a lot of cow characters, but I've done, like, a lot of heads of different things, so you know, some of it's habit that I'm pulling from, some of it's experience, some of it is just trying something out, like here around the nose. Like, do I like that shape? Nah, it's okay. I don't know. A lot of experimentation, I think, is what you could kind of whittle it down to in just a few words. This needs a little more volume coming through here. Also, at this stage, I probably shouldn't be using that clay brush anymore. It's a little too messy. I definitely like that. That definitely feels right to me. It really helps to give it that like that inflated lip feel that we have here on the bottom. But back here in the corner, like what like it's too similar. It's too symmetrical all the way through. So let's change it. And that is like a fundamental issue. That is like, hey, boring shape is because it's too similar to the entire length of that tube of the lip. So like do something to it that would change that. So like, again, I mentioned that idea of taper. Like that's a really easy thing that you can do. You can taper out a shape to add some visual interest. Alright, let's clean up a little more here. I really like this shape. This was kind of accidental, kind of hinting at some of the trapezius kind of coming up and latching onto the neck and then the skull. Kind of creating that really hard edge, ended up creating a really cool just triangular form through here that just works really well. So like, you know, based off of human anatomy, that's kind of the back of the skull, the right below your, or right above your spine where it connects onto your skull there. Get a really hard edge. Obviously, you can stylize that a lot, really exaggerate it, and that creates like a cool form. Like the planes of the forehead here are kind of creating like this cool shape here that are, you know, it's kind of fun. How much you need to like keep that in is then totally up to you. Like this brush stroke right here, that's like a flat, like a trim brush, but it kind of created this like edge here that's somewhat interesting. I'm like, oh, you know, maybe I can kind of build that up a little, create like a nice shape there that kind of leads into this like furrowed brow type shape. This is definitely something you would see in someone kind of like scrunching up their, you know, their brows. So that's kind of fun. Yeah, it's just a lot of playing around, a lot of experimentation and experience. So I've really taken some time to like clean up my surfaces here. One thing that I really, you know, enjoy about those early stages is that when you have things messy, it kind of adds some visual interest because some things aren't defined. But what we want is we want everything to be defined. We don't want accidents. We want to, you know, look at a shape that might have been more messy before, like through here. And now that we've taken the time to clean that up and, you know, look at what we actually have, like this kind of shape here for the jaw wrapping around for that like general form of the masseter right through here. We're talking about this shape. This is the masseter muscle. Now we can like see that and we can say like, is that good? Does that look okay? Like we don't have any of that surface noise kind of messing that up. And now I can like really hone in on that silhouette. I think it needs some, I keep going back and forth on narrowing this and making it wider, but it feels more bovine when it is actually slightly more narrow. And maybe we can like really pull that into that whole form, coming up into the skull. I definitely need to look at some more cows. Need to grab some additional reference. I'll do that a little bit later off stream and play around with it. But I would like to do another stream, either working on this or working on another character here very soon. I'd love to do that. But I think that's going to be a really good stopping point for us now that we've taken the time to kind of clean up our surface and we can kind of see all of our things that we do need to correct. Like some of our primary forms here, like pretty nasty. Definitely need some work. But I'll go back over those, clean them up, experiment a little more at a later date and a later time. But let me answer some last minute questiones that we have here in chat. And if you have anything else before we head out, please do post it in chat now. Let's see. Oh, to answer your question, right about here for now. Working on it to about this level. So not too much. This is a little over 2 hours. If I can see. Don't know how long we've been going. 2 hours and 20 minutes. So this isn't like very much for 2 hours and 20 minutes. If I'm not talking and if I'm focusing, I could get a lot further than this in, less than an hour probably. But yeah, I think that's a really good stopping point for us. Kind of talking about the process a little bit there and what we need to do next to kind of bring that home to get it to a more interesting state, let's call it. But yeah, with that, like I said, I think that's a great place for us to stop. I don't see any other questions in chat, so thanks for coming and hanging out. It's been a lot of fun, and I guess I'll just shout out really quick here at the end. Check out my Patreon if you're interested in tutorials down below. I also have my online store, My Gumroad, which is where you can find some more tutorials as well as my custom brushes, materials, stuff like that. And then the Appeal Academy, which is my mentorship program, which is currently not available for mentorship. That is currently full. But the Appeal Academy Lite is open, which is everything in the course, a lot of bonuses, an absolute absurd amount of content, and everything there except for the mentorship. But yeah, again, thank you guys for coming and hanging out. It's been a blast, and we will do this again sometime very soon. Either I'm thinking tomorrow or Thursday, so within the next couple days. I would love